Today, we have founder and CEO of Beverly Hills Manners, Lisa Gaché, and a nationally recognized etiquette coach and lifestyle expert. She provides practical modern day solution and helps clients use the power of social intelligence to enhance their lives both professionally and personally. Based in Los Angeles, Lisa has become the credible go-to resource for the media and entertainment community, advising on everything from dining to decorum and red carpet etiquette to managing one's digital footprint.
With gentle humor and a refreshing no-nonsense delivery, she helps her clients with tips, tools, and guidance to help them know how to act and feel comfortable in every social situation. Lisa has advised Oscar-winning celebrities and high-profile brands such as Mattel, Tiffany & Company, Burberry, TJX Companies, American Girl, Beverly Wilshire, and Four Seasons Hotel, and the Hotel Bel Air. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. I'm so honored. I just feel like being the etiquette expert on the show. I could not come without bringing you a little host gift.
That is so nice. We love gifts.
Okay, let's ask the first question.
So yes,
The first question being,
which I want
what
you to open
is
because
the
I think they're
etiquette
apropos.
for showing up somewhere at a home, be it a business, wherever you're going, a luncheon with friends? Do you have to show up with the gift? Like, what's the etiquette for that?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say a lunch with friends unless somebody's hosting you.
Right.
I believe that anytime you're being hosted, it's the appropriate thing to do. And it can be just a small thing. And, you know, for this example, I'm here as your guest and I'm also in this particular field. So I felt like it was highly appropriate. And I would have felt like I was missing something. I wasn't practicing what I preach if I came empty-handed, right? And it's really about that small acknowledgement. But even if you're invited to something where it's a group of girlfriends and you feel like just being sweet and generous, just to bring a little trinket that everybody can share of, we all just always acknowledge that as like, wow, that's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what we're thinking about. If we are invited somewhere, how can we acknowledge that person?
What's the ultimate hostess gift? Like, what's something that you've brought or you've heard of that people love that's not a break the bank? Like, it's a easy go-to that we can give as a resource for people to go out and get.
Okay, I'm going to say something actually that doesn't happen at the time. There was a gentleman that we had to dinner at our house, and a voluminous arrangement of flowers arrived the day before. And I was I was surprised. Who could this possibly be from? And it was actually from our guest, and I was really upset preemptively thinking that this was an apology, they couldn't come, so therefore they were sending the flowers. But instead, it was flowers sent as a thank you for what was going to happen, the dinner the next day.
Just so you know, I've done that before, so I'm very proud of
so there we
myself. This is
go.
wonderful.
It's nice, though, because you can display that during the dinner and put it
Yes.
somewhere in the home so it adds to the decor.
So I look at that as a boss move. I think that is, if there's a way to preempt something and that's even before the event happens, I think that's really lovely.
advice.
And kind of supersedes all gifts. So meanwhile, I brought this here and now you have to open it, but I wanted you to see it.
Thank you.
with me
And
here.
it's so cute
You're
that
so
you
welcome.
walked in with it and I was like, of course she has that for us. We have a gift for you after.
Oh my goodness.
Just so
Too
you know,
sweet.
A thank you gift.
a very thank you gift for
That's so
being
sweet.
here. But
Thank
shall we open this?
Yeah,
So
you go first.
that one first because
Oh, so cute.
well, are you you're
Oh.
familiar with sugar feet,
Yes.
right, girls?
Yes.
Well, I
Those
want,
are my favorite.
so the champagne little gummy bears.
That's so
I thought
cute.
because I know we watch our
That's so
figures, so I
cute.
wanted you to have something small that's non-perishable in case there wasn't a refrigerator.
Oh, and I do love a candy.
And also, wait, but you have to acknowledge the first thing before you unwrap, which is what I always suggest.
Oh,
That's sweet.
So-
A handwritten.
so is it rude to go straight? I actually
for the
saw this. Wait, I saw this on a TV show where it was Nobody Wants This.
Oh,
where it was Valentine's Day, I believe.
Oh, yes,
And,
yes,
right,
I
and
remember
so
this
he wrote
episode.
this amazing card, and he gave her the gift, and she went straight to the gift and didn't open the card because
Yes.
the card is not part of it's not important to her. So I thought that was so funny. It's exactly what I just did. I went straight. I didn't even see that this is a card.
I know it's very small.
So very important to have a card,
Well,
a note.
It's funny because in that relationship, he was the more sort of thoughtful one, and she just wanted to go right for like, okay, how is he's showing me he loves me with a gift. But I personally think the card, that's the sentiment.
I do too. I won't be able to read this without mine.
Yeah, you don't have to sit and worry about it. But I do love a card because that's where you get to just share a few things. And by the way, I don't know about you ladies, but I keep cards.
Sweet. Very
Oh, you
sweet.
do that?
Do you
is so
keep
nice.
do you keep cards?
I do
Yes.
keep cards.
Okay.
And I have a nice organizational system, which
There you
I'm
go.
happy about, because otherwise it just gets like in a big drawer.
Yes.
But you are the first guest to bring us a gift. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. And so this you can actually set out, and it goes with the set.
Oh, I like this. This is perfect.
So
Yes.
it's my book,
This is your book.
and
Where do we get this?
you can find it on Amazon actually, and it's
Beverly
also,
Hills Manners, Golden Rules from the World's Most Glamorous Zip Code. Dare
Yes.
to be polite. I love this.
So I just it was written back in 2014, but I have to say everything is still applicable. There may be a couple of things. We have so many new. Beyond Twitter, it's now X and certain things like that. But what I love about my world is that it's evergreen. Manners never go out of style, right?
I agree.
So I thought that this could be a great primer just for future guests that come to they could pick it up on any chapter and find a little tidbit to share.
I love it. That's a great
So sweet.
gift for like a sweet 16 to kind of stick in,
Yes.
some people just coming into the world, girls and boys. I think that's a great idea.
It's absolutely the whole section in there for that applicable for gentlemen as well.
Well, when we first met you, it was as a surprise for Britney's birthday.
Yes.
Britney and I do really fun things for each other. We always try to do something creative, and there's a backstory to why I wanted to have an etiquette lesson for us. We were in Paris and at a formal dinner, and things happened where we realized we didn't quite know where the forks and the knives went, although we thought we were really
I'm like,
civilized.
why aren't they taking my plate?
We thought we were very civilized. And then our friend moved the fork and the knife over to the right, and all of a sudden, magically, the server came and removed the plate. And so in my mind, I said, I'm going to get her an etiquette lesson for her birthday. So we show up. I take her. She's like a little lamb to slaughter. She's like, following me. Where are we going? Just following me, trusting me, which is actually a good thing.
Yes.
And we show up at the Mayborn Hotel, and you're waiting for us upstairs at the restaurant. And we sat down, and you joined us, and then we began to have our proper etiquette lesson on how to dine, and it was so eye-opening for both of us. I realized that I'm a full heathen the way that I eat.
No.
And it was really a great experience.
It's something that I almost feel they should teach at a young, like at school almost, because even though you think that I really, as Jen said, I really thought that I had decent etiquette, and not that it was bad, but what we learned from you is like an entirely different level where you can go anywhere and dine and feel as you're part of that world instead of looking around and being sort of embarrassed. I mean, really, it's a whole different way of eating than most people in the U.S. We don't eat like that.
Well, and by the way, and you two are very elegant women. I mean, you've definitely traveled. You're well traveled. You're by no means heathens by any stretch of the imagination. But
How everyone around us is.
yeah, right. So the thing about this world is that it back in the day, this was taught in the schools. Or you had maybe a relative in the family. It could have been a grandmother or a grandfather or an auntie or somebody who might have passed down this information. But if you didn't have that growing up, you really have to seek it, because I think a lot of people don't know that people like myself do exist. And I look at it as a language. It's just another language we're learning that really just helps, I think, to add beauty and joy to the world.
It's a life skill.
And also, honestly, the reason I got into this business was to help myself feel more comfortable and, in my own skin and confident. So me just handing you these extra tools would allow you now, ladies, to check that box of, okay, now we really know how to feel comfortable and confident and like we fit in to this next level environment.
Can we break that down? What does that look like
Yes.
when we sit in a restaurant? Now, is there a difference between an American etiquette at a table and a European etiquette? And if you are American, how do you act appropriately when you're in Europe?
Right. Okay. And I've had actually clients that are American. They've asked me to teach the skills, and then they've decided that they didn't want to use them because they said, I'm American and I want to use the American style. So there's two different styles of dining, dominant styles of dining. That's the American style and the European style. So they both start out the same. And what a lot of people don't know, and I'm giving away my secrets, not my secrets, but you still can hire me for more comprehensive information. But when you go to a restaurant, the table is preset, typically, with a fork and a knife, right? Mm-hmm. And if you look at the placement of where the fork and knife are, that is specific because those are the hands that are supposed to hold those utensils. So if I take my hands and go like this, the fork is on the left, the knife is on the right. And then what people do is they switch.
Right.
And they don't need to switch. If they wanted those hands to hold those utensils, they would have already placed them in that manner.
Why did this happen? Was it something that it's just because we use our dominant hand and our parents weren't paying attention? So like, why weren't we taught properly as a child to keep the fork in the left hand?
So I'm going to tell you. So the European style was literally that you pick up the knife in your dominant hand. Most people are right-handed, right? Mm-hmm. And that you literally pierce the food, fork tines down, and cut with the knife. And then you literally bring the food into your mouth, fork tines down with your left hand.
And it's facing down, right? You're not turning it at
facing down, facing down. The Americans added an extra step. So it's actually less efficient. So you start out the same way because the silverware stays where it is. So you have the same hold, fork tines down, knife in the right hand. You cut your food, but the American style is that you now place the knife on the rim of your plate, and then you bring the food into your right hand, and the fork tines are up, and that is how you feed yourself. So I actually need to look that up because I'm trying to recall why, but in general, it's less efficient. It's smoother, and the European style is literally the global dining style. It's the one that's most recognized.
But I think it's challenging. It's harder to eat with your left hand to keep it on the fork, right?
With practice, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy.
I can tell you this. You're a lot hungrier after the meal is over
because
you don't get a lot. So if you want to stay skinny, start eating the European way. But you only eat, what I learned from you, you only put enough food in your mouth where you could still carry on a conversation.
True.
While you have food in your mouth, which I thought was amazing because, you don't want to see me in my car when I'm like eating all my food. It's like very
any of us.
Right?
I'm guilty of it too, so don't worry. But I actually had written an article. One of my dreams would be seriously to work with Weight Watchers, only because I feel like there is. So I had written an article about when obesity has been very much a subject in America, and I feel like if people got dressed and took off their sweatpants and started wearing non-stretchy clothes like we used to have to wear back in the day, they might think twice before they stuff themselves or overstuff because it's uncomfortable to sit in tight-fitted or fitted, just call it fitted clothing. So, and talk about the dining style, it's actually, I think, remember I said less efficient to dine American. So if you're cutting and putting your fork down and then you have to switch hands, it actually takes you longer to eat.
But you can get more on your
fork. You can get more on your fork.
That's the thing.
But also what people don't realize, yes, you want to take small bites to make conversation, but you also want to pay attention to your table mates to keep the same pace. So if you're dining with people that are slower eaters, you need to slow down You know, a lot of times we will mow through our food when we're comfortable with with whom we're dining. So there are lots of ways in which we use our bodies, we use our timing, we use the, what is the purpose of dining in general? What is the purpose of dining? I will ask you, ladies.
Social? Being
Jennifer,
social?
do you agree?
When we're dining formally,
Just in general, why do we dine? What is the purpose of dining with each other?
just as something enjoyable. I think
Congregate?
Yes, I think all of the above. So basically, it's a social activity, right? And the purpose of it is not supposed to be about the food, right? So that's why I actually tell
that's a
people.
shame.
I know.
That's
Well,
interesting.
and look, by the way, when somebody says, "Oh, the food's fair, but the place is really beautiful," I want the food to be good, because when I
Yeah.
eat it, even if I eat a few bites, I that is to me part of the enjoyment. But it's really about the opportunity for us to create relationship and to get into one another and learn about each other and have a good conversation that you walk away from going, wow, I learned something, or I really felt connected to that person. The food is the activity. It gives you something to do. And this is why so many companies in the professional world will take prospective clients out to a meal to check out their dining skills, because we conduct so much of business. Think about it. What are they? The big business breakfasts, lunches, dinners, cocktails, drinks, events, etc. And all of life's most important occasions happen around food and drink.
So that question for you is, when I have so many questions, this is actually really exciting because I'm thinking about business. But when you're a host and you're having a dinner party,
Yes.
what is the etiquette of who eats first? Are you watching the host and you're following them?
Great question. So if you are being hosted, you absolutely defer to the host for everything that happens at the table. So for example, I've seen people, that'll come to me for one of my classes. They might arrive sooner than I get there, although I do get there in
Yes,
plenty of
you
time.
are
And
prompt.
on occasion, the host at the establishment will wind up seating the guests before I've even arrived. So first you wait for your host, but you do not sit down at the table until your host is with
So
you,
at a
right?
restaurant, you have reservations
Yes.
for 10.
Yes.
Jen made the reservation. She's asked us all to be there.
Right.
She's running 10 minutes late.
Well, if there's been communication and she says, please seat my guests, then that's totally fine. But I'm
Or
saying if
go to
there
the bar.
hasn't been communication, I would wait for my host to arrive.
I'll go to the bar.
Yeah, go to the bar.
There
Exactly.
you go.
Double martini.
There you go. And so then everything, even at the table when you're sitting down, once everybody's seated, you really defer to the host. So wait for them to put their napkin in their lap, right? Wait for everybody to be served their food. And then notice, has the host taken a bite, or has the host said, please enjoy?
Let's talk about the napkin. This
Yes.
is something I loved when I learned from you, is that you
Yes.
take the napkin, you fold it in half where the opening is away from you.
Yes.
And when you wipe your mouth, you take the inside of the napkin and then you wipe it and then you close it back up so you don't see any of the mess on your lap.
Yes. Such a good student.
Yes, I just was very
I love it. I love it. And
interested in it.
it's so, well, it's practical. So when we are taking a napkin and we fold it in half lengthwise, the practicality piece is that you've got it spread across your lap. So you're protecting you ladies are always dressing beautifully, so we want to protect your clothing, right? And then again, practicality, the top part of the napkin is used for anything that's falling off the table, or let's say you get butter on your fingers or crumbs from your bread, etc. And so you want a special space, a place that's not dirtied or soiled, to wipe your mouth. Otherwise, you're putting the butter and the crumbs and everything else on your face, right?
Sense, yes.
So everything, honestly, is rooted in practicality and or respect. So I was watching this morning on the Today Show, Al Roker. Love the Today Show. Been on the Today Show. And when he was talking about, he's somebody who's known to be impeccably dressed, right? If you're familiar with it, right? He's always got the 3-piece suit or 2-piece suit with little beautiful decorative,
Brooches.
Exactly. And so he was talking about how his father said to always dress for respect. And I I loved that. And I had misheard him originally, and I thought he said dress with respect, because those mean two different things. Because if you dress with respect, I think it's about dressing with respect for yourself and respect for the other people that you're with, right? Like imagine if you host a party and your guests come not looking like they cared.
Right.
Right? That's maybe doesn't make you feel very good. Like you put all this trouble and wonder together for people, and then they arrive and it doesn't look
That's happened to me.
so, right? So I'm saying dress with respect, and also dressed for respect, to earn respect. But just because mainly, though, starting with yourself, I think it makes us feel better, but also it is a sign of respect.
Yeah.
I don't know how I just went on that tangent, by the way.
I like it.
About the napkins and about
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, we were talking about protecting our
We
clients.
should have
exactly.
set a setting here so we could quickly walk through like what is supposed to go on each side, where you grab from. Like I think a lot of people don't know where your
Yes.
bread plate is, where your water plate is, where the fork goes when you're done with your meal,
Yes.
where your fork
we'll
takes a
insert
break.
a diagram, because there is like a diagram that has the proper place setting.
There is, absolutely.
And I give it to my housekeeper because she's been with me for 25 years, and still I make her walk around and help me because I'm constantly entertaining.
Right.
And the fork and the knife, they're never in the right spot. So now I printed it out. So we're like, it's,
Can you walk us
funny.
through just like kind of a general, just so people know where, I mean, I hope
Yes.
that our guests know where their water
Look,
is.
I don't know that I knew when I was younger, and I talk about it in my book. I didn't write my first thank you note, I don't think, until I got married, and now I have all kinds of stationery, and everybody should have what they call a stationary wardrobe.
yes, I do love
Right.
that.
So, and yes, so there is a very simple, and I did not come up with this acronym, but a very easy way to remember where things are located, at least where your bread plate and where your water glass is located, is thinking about the car BMW. Okay, so a lot of people will go like this.
That's
that
how
they
I
learned in, my little toddlers, I'll teach, but I don't want to see grown adults doing this at the table.
That's how I
right?
learned.
Okay, so graduating from this, we're going to now think about BMW. And when we read a book, we read left to right. When we dine, we also read the table left to right. So B is for your bread, M is for your meal in the middle, and W is for your water.
Oh, I was going to say wine.
Or wine. That goes too.
That's where I'm going
wine
to.
or
Hand in
water,
hand.
however
Yes.
you appreciate it. So that just at least lets you know where your things are located. And I think it's pretty easy for people for the most part, unless they're sitting at a wedding where you've got 10 or 12 people around a, 60 or 90 inch round table. The other thing that I think is very easy to remember is literally to look at the place setting that is set before you when you arrive at a restaurant, and think about, or if you're setting the table, everything airs to the right. So most people are right-hand dominant, correct?
Meaning you're starting
Meaning there's a lot of things that happen to the right. So for example, when you if you have to capture a cough or a sneeze, you cover your mouth and nose, you turn your head to the right shoulder.
Oh, okay.
When you set the table,
I'm always sitting on the left.
Oh, okay, there you go. I mean, but
Sit me on the left. That's all I want to be.
But also,
Stuff on me.
for practical purposes, however, let's say you girls have somebody sitting on your right, but no one sitting on your left. Hello, just turn the opposite way, away from where your germs are going to get on somebody.
But aren't you
right?
doing this like?
Not at the table. You have a napkin.
Oh, you're pulling.
So you use your napkin. I see all the kids from
interior,
school.
you use the interior of the fold of your napkin.
Exactly.
Sneeze in there, and then you close it back up.
But
Exactly.
you're not sneezing at the table.
Well, if
Sometimes somebody you don't know
can't
when a
control
sneeze is
it.
going to happen, right? I've had to sneeze, I think, at the table.
Yes.
Or certainly, a cough, or even sometimes, if you need to, this would never happen to us ladies, but a belch, God forbid.
Right.
Right. So there's lots of things that
Worst
you can
things
cover.
could happen at the table.
Well, also a lot of
Throw
people,
it to you. I'm gonna throw you a burnt bomb.
and we
across
all
the
have
table.
control of that, by the way. But sometimes
My kids tell me they don't have control of that.
yeah, we know that's a lie. They totally have control over that. But so there's so many great uses for the napkin.
I can't get over a burp bomb.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
You haven't taken my other class when I have the young kids, because when I talk about, what the other end when things accidentally and how to handle that, they're,
That's a good skill
use
to
the
know.
magic words.
That's funny. So there is a salad fork, dinner fork on the left, and then there is closest to the plate, dinner knife, and then soup spoon.
It depends on what you're serving.
Right.
So not all of those things need to be preset if those courses aren't being served. So the way we read a table is basically by looking at the silverware that's been pre-selected or preset. If you go to a restaurant where they have, a 7-course meal or even more, you will only see 3 of a kind preset at the table. So here in America, we are taught that we eat salad before an entree typically. And so because of American style, they only put 1 salad fork. But if you are in Europe, they might set a fork and a knife, and it may be because the salad requires cutting. So it really depends on the, so many different things, what you're being served, how it's being prepared. So when I've been to many different schools to receive my accreditations and certifications, et cetera. And most recently, I attended the one that a lot of people in my world have attended, in the fanciest one, let's say, in Switzerland. And it's called the Institut Villa Pierrefeu, and it was wonderful. But what's so interesting to me always is that it's in this incredible setting, and you think the epitome of everything. I would for some reason, I've been to the school in the UK as well, the English Manor, but for some reason I looked at Switzerland as like the arbiter. I don't know why. But it was a lot more relaxed, actually, than I would have thought it to be. But one of the things that I had forgotten, or maybe just didn't realize, for example, is that in certain cases, if you place a fork and a knife, even though I like to have things in pairs, it may be an affront to the chef. So, for example, in Europe, they're famous for making an omelet, right? It's a fluffy
one.
like super just melt in your mouth egg dish, right? So if a chef saw you trying to cut an omelet with a fork and knife, that would be perceived as offensive.
Really? So you're
Yes.
supposed to just cut it with your fork?
So you only use your fork, and when you're using a single utensil as both the utensil to cut and to eat, you cut with the side of your fork. And you can do that with a fork or a spoon.
Would you still use, like, if you're not using the knife, would you still have the fork in your non-dominant hand, or would that go into your dominant hand?
When it's a single utensil, it's always in your dominant hand.
And then how do you know if you can use a knife or not?
Well, again, it depends.
Your steak up or all of your food up and then go in with your fork. You're supposed to cut a piece and then put it in your mouth. Is that correct?
So yes, again, I mean, I'm going to keep saying this till everybody's blue in the face from hearing it, but it depends, and it's all about practicality. In this case, it's not about it depends. It's about what is practical. When you're served a whole piece of meat, you want to retain the heat for as long as possible, right? And again, we're not 2 years old, so we don't need to cut it up in a bunch of little pieces, right? So we only cut one bite at a time in order to keep that heat in our food as long as possible.
Okay, I went to dinner last night, ordered steak.
Yes.
And I was with my daughter, who's 9. They offered to cut the steak. Would you like, because we were sharing it.
Are you talking about slicing it?
Slicing it.
Okay.
And I had the whole thing sliced because it's obviously easier,
Yes.
especially for her. Is that look like frowned upon?
Not at all, because slicing your steak is totally different from cutting your steak in a bunch of pieces. One is being done in the kitchen and being served to you, which is actually a wonderful way to share a steak, because otherwise you both are, everybody's doing it themselves. Some pieces are thick and they do it perfectly, and it makes it a lot easier, especially for children. I'm just saying, don't be an adult and start cutting your steak in a bunch of little bite-sized pieces for ease.
Yeah. Wait, before we leave the table setting, let's talk to how we were brought to you giving me an etiquette class based on how do you end the meal? How do we signal to the wait staff that
Yes.
we are done eating? Please take my plate away from me.
Yes. So there is what they call a secret language to the wait staff. And, this does hopefully, let us believe that the wait staff has been properly trained.
Yeah, how
right?
do they? What if they don't know the secret language?
So it's sometimes a dance of do they know, and do they know that I know, or did they think I made a mistake but just happenstance did it the right way? I mean, all we can do with everything in life is control ourselves and take care of ourselves, right? Clean up our side of the street. So if you know these skills, do it. And so what we have are two secret languages that we say. We want to say what is called the resting position for the silverware and the finished position. And again, I didn't coin these terms. The resting is simply an upside down V at the top of your plate. So every plate has a rim. And by the way, the thing that bugs me the most, it's not a faux pas, it's just something that happens, is that nowadays dishes come in all different shapes and sizes.
Right.
Back in the day, it was just a round plate. So a lot of these skills date back to 18th century France, in which case you just had a round plate. It was perfectly easy to place your fork and knife in the resting position at the top. And that was to show the wait staff that you were not done. You were just resting, which is a great position to make if you have to excuse yourself from the table, right?
Which is
Go use the
probably
ladies'
where
room.
your fork and knife were in Paris, right?
In the resting,
In the
perhaps.
resting.
Like I was
Right, because you were
gonna
the
have
only
another
plate that
bite.
was still on the table.
And so that is a great thing to do if you have to get up from the table, because if they did accidentally take your plate, which they should never do, especially in France, I'm sure they know this, that just means I'm not done, right? But when you are finished, all you do is you close the gap. You bring your fork into your knife at about 420, or just say right side diagonal.
like top right corner diagonal.
You bring it up
together.
420.
And I'm going to
Wink,
say
wink.
the reason, and again, it's for practical purposes. There is a certain side we serve and a certain side we clear from. So if you ladies are hosting, my host is here. I'm not sure, Brittany, if you host as much as Jennifer.
Quite a bit.
Okay, so both of you, when you're hosting and if you're serving, think of the word serve and think of the word clear. The word clear ends with the letter what?
R.
R.
So clear from the right.
I see. Okay.
Jen just questioned. She's like, R?
I was like, it's like,
It was
no,
a
is that
trick,
simple?
trick
I was
R,
like,
right?
Wait, see?
I know it makes us double check, right? But so if you clear on the right, then we must serve on the left. Now, if we're clearing on the right, then if I grab my book here, so let's pretend I have my fork and knife on the right of my plate. And if I'm clearing on the right, I can capture with my thumb silverware there and plate
At one time.
all in one foul swoop. See?
That's good to know. But I'm never going to clear my guests' plates, so I think we're
Well, this will be for your lovely housekeeper.
Yes. Okay, so then let's talk about the napkin.
Yes.
When you leave to go to the bathroom, where do you place your napkin?
Where do you ladies think it goes?
On the back of your chair.
On the base of on your tush chair.
Oh, yeah.
Tush.
I don't know. On your seat or on the back?
It actually does go on the seat of your
you
chair.
won.
So and again, I think a lot of people wonder, is it dirty, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully it's not. I mean, you're not going to, and that's why too, when you are placing your napkin, you're placing the outer part, right? Remember using the interior
Right.
pocket to wipe your mouth. So
Right.
you don't have to worry about that.
For your burp bomb.
Exactly. But if you place it on the back of your chair, on the arms of your chair, it may fall to the floor more easily. Now that's going to be a running
That's
joke.
gonna keep on living. That's
Just so
gonna be
you
good.
know, at dinner tonight, I'm going to show my kids how to appropriately do a burp bomb.
Okay, good. Look, if
In your
they
napkin.
feel like they're going to launch one, then at least they'll know how to do it properly.
On the inside of the napkin. That's a proper one.
No, actually,
Oh,
no,
on the outside.
No, because they're just
Oh,
capturing it.
right. So burp bomb goes
Yeah.
on the outside. Okay.
There's not
Just
enough
so we're clear.
time to pull the, the flap back and the whole thing.
The burp bomb's on the visual side. So you better hope nothing comes
Also,
up.
you don't want to bring that Lord knows what they had for dinner back onto your mouth on the interior pocket,
Okay, so the last question about dining, and then we can move on because I have a lot more etiquette questions, is when you're at a restaurant or when you're at a dinner party and you're being served a hot meal.
Yes.
Is it proper if there's 3 people who have their hot meals to start, or do they need to wait for everyone at the table to be served their hot meal?
How many are we in total at the table?
6, let's say.
No, then you need to wait for everybody. I mean,
Okay.
there's only 6 of you. And if you have a larger event, and the rule is, let's say you're a table of 12, then you could wait for the first 6.
So there's not like a number, because my husband says more than 3 people with a hot plate, go ahead. You know, that's the etiquette.
If he's the host and he wants to say that, that's perfectly fine. But
no, but if he's not the host.
if I personally suggest that 6, I think 6 is perfectly fine to wait for everybody.
Okay.
And even 8. But after that, but if there's a table of 12, I think once half the table has been served, it's fine. It's really about, again, going back to respect. So if you're being treated and you can wait for everybody to be served, I think that's the lovelier thing to do. But at an event, there is a rule that once, about 6 people, if it's a party of 12 at the table, you can begin eating. But no, 3 people at a table of 6, I would wait for everybody to be served. Nobody's that famished that we have to start before everyone serves. You can tell your husband to check with me.
Okay, the last thing that I have with my husband, this is like a point of contention.
And by the way, you guys should be like keeping score or get some money involved in this, especially if you're right.
I love being right. So the last bone of contention is, and I told this to my husband, he was annoyed by the answer,
I can't wait.
Where to sit in a restaurant. So I believe that the woman should always be facing out. So like if there's a table and there's a chair on one side and there's a booth on the other, the woman should sit in the booth. Well,
But your husband doesn't want to because he's the man and he wants to be looking at the restaurant to protect you.
To protect society, to protect civilization. My husband is there to protect us all.
You should honor that because they need to do that.
I'm okay with that. I do like the booth side. It's more comfortable. However, I just want to ask, what is the most appropriate etiquette?
Okay, I thought you were going to ask me a slightly different question, but I like this question. I haven't actually been asked this question. So I'm going to start with the first thing that I thought you were going to ask me, which is, if you are hosting somebody, you always offer them the preferred seat, which is always with the best view. So on a first date, if a woman is taking a man out on a date, then I would say that it's nice for the lady to sit with the preferred view. You don't want her facing the kitchen, right? I would take that, and by the way, this could work for any kind of relationship. Whomever is in the position of wanting to show, or who's ever asking that person out, right? It could be same sex, whatever. It's nice to offer the seat with the view. Second to that, I think that we just want to notice that you mentioned a kind of protective thing, right? And that's you're male and female. So I do think that also for comfort, that's another thing to think about. I don't know about you ladies, but on a booth sometimes it's very low. And the table, sometimes I feel like I'm seated more comfortably in a chair. So I might ask the lady, what is more comfortable for you? In which case you said you like a booth. So, but you guys are married. So it's different when you're in a relationship, you're married and you all have your preferences and your husband wants to extend himself.
So there's no rule.
It depends, honestly, because there may be a place where maybe your husband is in a situation where he wants to be seen and he might run into some colleagues or some who knows what.
Joanna?
You don't know.
Joanna
maybe
wants to
he
be
needs
seen. I don't think so.
Well,
I don't think so.
Meaning not seen by other women, but seen in a professional sense. Maybe
Right.
there's somebody he's hoping to bump into. We don't know what people's reason may be. Maybe he also wants to make sure if you're looking especially gorgeous that night, he wants to make sure that you're not going to be making googly eyes at somebody behind his back. So who knows?
Yeah.
There could be lots of reasons.
I like when there's two men that go to dinner, like John and Devin, and they're sparring for who's going to have their back to the room because nobody wants that
Right.
position.
They want a more
The power
dominant position.
is facing
Absolutely,
the room to
absolutely.
see who's coming in.
Okay, so I'm gonna
there's
just
all-
like
there
I'm
are
gonna
reasons
ease off
for
on
it.
that. I'm gonna let my husband decide
It's like
where
the
he
person
wants to
sitting
sit.
shotgun in the car.
But I have a question. I have a
always John.
question though.
He doesn't.
John
Devin
doesn't
gets so
even-
pissed.
Oh,
He's like,
yes.
get out of the fucking front seat.
Yeah, no. John's like, take a second car.
Yeah. No, there's only so many seats we can sit in.
Right.
But for you though, why are you, if you're in a booth, is there no room for you to sit side by side?
No, I
Do
do
you
like to do that, but
Okay.
like when we've had like a little bit of an annoyance where he could tell that I'm annoyed that because I think it's like that's where the lady should sit. So if it's only where it's only like a two top, right?
Right.
Where the
So the booth is very small.
very
for just
narrow,
one
right?
person. Right.
And I've
got you.
many times turned the table and like sit next to me.
Yes.
But if I am in the booth and he just gets annoyed because he wants to, again, he's
Yes.
protecting society. He's protecting
I
civilization.
mean, I like that excuse.
Yeah.
But I
No,
think
I
it's
think there is truth to that. They
Yeah.
they have their eyes on the room to make sure they don't want to have their back to it.
in case you have to storm through the doors and make a
Yeah.
fast
Yeah.
escape.
Well, you don't know what's
So I'm not
gonna
gonna fight. I'm not
we'll
gonna
call
fight. I'll
that
let him-
chivalrous behavior,
Yeah, I'll
right?
let him
so
do
When
whatever
you
he
go
wants.
out
turns-
wearing
you take-
jewelry and handbags,
Yes.
you need to know who's coming
That's
up
true.
behind you.
that is true.
I'm gonna give him a win on
yes,
this one.
Thank
Yes.
you. Or you can at least take turns.
Yes, that's true.
Nice
Jen's not
compromise.
dressing down. Let's put it that way.
Neither is Joanna. Trust me, we're competing. He's like my sorority sister.
Oh, hilarious.
Okay, so
Love that.
let's talk about the holidays.
Yes.
Right? We have holidays coming up. Can you give us tips as a host and also as a guest? Like, what are the host's musts and the guest's musts?
Well, one thing we never want to see when we go as a guest into someone's home is a harried host, right?
that?
Like a frazzled,
Frazzled, panicked, tense.
not unwaxed, not unwaxed.
oh, you said
frazzled.
not right, not uncoiffed.
We want the host to be laser.
Yes, trimmed ladies.
Manscaped men.
right. So that I think because you're walking in as the guest, you hope to have that warm, inviting feeling.
Yes.
Right. So if you can have preparations done in advance so that you can be present. And if my sister's watching this, she's going to yell and be like, Lisa, you were so not preaching what you were just, walking the talk.
Right.
But I do aspire to Jennifer. My sister's name is Jennifer. But it is, I do know this for a fact that any of us, we want to walk into something that feels comfortable and that feels joyful, right? Like
Warm and
not
inviting.
walking through the door like, oh, geez, did I make a mistake?
Right.
Yeah.
In
Stressful,
choosing to
a
come.
stressful situation.
So that's number one. And then I think a lot of people you'll hear on, morning shows or read in newspapers about the host that doesn't have the food, something out, something prepared for the guests.
Where you're starving.
Where you're starving and you're waiting and they're like, oh, I just put it in the oven and it's a 2-hour preparation or something
You're
of that
sweating, waiting
nature.
for
Yes.
your first bite.
So ample food and drinks, right? And I also love music in the background. I love, some kind of nice candles. This is where I never advise going cheap on the candles. I think you have to go and spend a nice amount on beautifully scented candles because there can be candles that are, and it doesn't have to be scented, but just warm candles, but also a scent. I don't mind a scent.
I was
Some
gonna
people
say,
do.
I'm okay with a scent in the bathroom,
Yes.
or if like in an entryway, but at
Yes.
the dinner table, it should
No.
have no scent.
You are correct. And by the way, I was not insinuating that at all. I
Okay.
agree. But I don't have a problem with in another part of
Yes.
the house because it is, especially at holiday time, if you have something that smells like a fireplace or something
Yeah.
that smells like pumpkin, people
Mulberry.
just associate that as kind of that warm, inviting holiday feel, right? And then, of course, I do love a beautifully set or beautifully appointed table, so that it looks lovely. It looks like there was effort made. I do like the idea that there is effort made. However, it can't be at the cost of the joy that hopefully everybody is feeling towards one another, and the conversation that will take place, and the warmth of just the people being together.
That is the most important thing. Everything for me is aesthetic. I do love that. But if the memories and the laughter and the love and the warm feeling isn't there, there's no point.
Exactly. So I would take any of the warmth and the nice feeling and sit on paper plate, not sit on, but have paper plates, etc. Even though I balk at anybody, and I have been asked at a Thanksgiving, for example, if there's a large party, if you can substitute fancy plasticware. I personally do not ever advise that, because so many people, and I'm answering probably a different question or segued now into other information, but a lot of people, when they get married, they do register for certain dishware, right, or china. And I think a lot of that just stays in a cabinet for so many years and never gets it to have a chance to be used. And I think we have so few occasions nowadays where we can be formal. And so I love the idea of being able to use our real dishes, our real silverware, our china, our crystal, whatever it is, whatever you're comfortable with. Mix and match. I don't care if you have 10 of the same thing. It doesn't matter. But to get the use, and also to learn how to cut on a real plate with real fork and knife.
Growing up, I remember my grandmother, Thanksgiving was hosted at her house, and she always brought out, it was like one time a year, her nice china, her nice flatware, beautiful serving pieces. It was like the one time. Even we had our own little kid wine glasses, crystal wine glasses.
Yes.
And it was so special. The tradition of it was so neat.
Exactly.
I love that art of entertaining. I love the china and the silver and the crystal. I feel like that's a lost art. I hope my kids, because I collect vintage. Every holiday is a different, every meal is a different a tablescape. I recently took my son to Geary's because I had to get a gift, and he's 21. And I thought he was going to kill me when we walked in the door, but he loved it. And he was like, Mom, I can't wait to register for my wedding, whenever that's going to be. He's 21.
So Gabe.
But it was so Gabe, right? Because Gabe he's very stylish. He's very visual. And it's so beautiful, and it really elevates your dining experience.
It really does. And Jen always does set such a beautiful table every time.
Thank you.
We go there. And
it's funny because Geary's, I have a funny story. I used to be Brooke Shields' assistant when I was in my early 20s, and she was engaged to Andre Agassi at this time. And the first time I'd ever gone to Geary's was with her to register. And it was secretly registered. It was under my name because we didn't want the paparazzi to know that she was engaged or getting married. So the registration was under Jenny Stein and my boyfriend at the time, Billy Goldberg. So if you wanted to get a registry for her, you went and you looked up our names. And I just saw the things that she was registering for. And it was eye-opening for me. It was just like next level. And it really just sparked my interest in like china and crystal and vintage pieces. So it's really fun to be exposed to those things at a young age, and then it really stays with you.
It totally does. I have a childhood memory of my grandmother on my father's side. My grandmother on my father's side, and the china that she had, it was Herond. And Herond china is famous. I just saw it in this show I was telling you girls about, Poldark. And it's the one that you see in a lot of stores. In Gary's, they'll have it because it's the white bone china, but the beautifully painted. You'll see the painted, and they have it in orange, they have it in blue, they have it in pink. It's very famous. And I wound up getting a set of Herond china with the blue design for myself, because it was something that I remembered from my childhood that my grandmother had. And so, we learn that. We pick that up at whatever age. And then our kids, if we have children, they do see that and they do develop an appreciation for it, because it's part of, and I know you ladies are all about beauty and joy and life. And to me, these are elements that help add to the beauty and joy of our lives.
It's true. It's the rituals. And those are the moments, because as you get older, you take for granted when you're younger, like these experiences. And as you get older, you want to bring back those feelings. So bringing back the visual aids of your china. My sister has my grandfather's china, which is so fun for me to look at because it just brings you back right away.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the kid thing at the holidays.
Yes.
So Thanksgiving, we obviously, I have 3 kids. My husband's from a very large family. There's a ton of kids.
Yes.
So when I'm hosting, my house becomes a trampoline park.
Yes.
How do you kindly tell them, we have some friends, I'm not going to name names, but allow their kids
Name names.
to walk around
say
the
I wanna hear
house
them.
eating stuff.
Right.
I don't allow my kids to eat. I mean, trust me, they sneak. But I don't allow lollipops in the living room and popsicles.
Right.
And our house becomes, especially at the holidays, somewhat of a free-for-all because there's little treats out.
Right.
And I find chocolates in various places. So how do I not make us a jamboree and say politely, this isn't appropriate?
Yes.
And I'm casual. Trust me, I have young kids, so I get that we have kids coming, but I also don't want it to be jamboree.
Yes. And it's your house, so you can set some guidelines, right, beforehand, right? So have a conversation with the, maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's a text, something fun, like sweet and light, but I would also have.
Hello, I'm not going to name your names. When your kids come over tonight.
Well, no, that was just for you to kind of know in the background. But what I was going to say is I do think it's important to have a designated space, if you have one, that where the kids can
I do have
be
that.
themselves.
No, I do have that.
So as long as they know,
don't use
so
it.
maybe it's just I really, saying to your kids to encourage the other kids and just to say to the other moms, hey, we've got this great space. I added, maybe get some extra crafts in there, or get something that will be an extra activity that will lure them in there. That as possible. Or even some snacks that they can eat in there, or a holiday movie. I don't know, anything that encourages them to do those things there. And then also say, are they going to be dining with you all? And are they at a
same
separate
table?
kids table?
No, I
or-
always do kids' tables.
Okay. So, then when then they'll all come out, and you can encourage them also to get dressed. And this is the thing about getting dressed. When we get dressed, we can't do certain things.
No,
so
they get dressed.
Okay, so if they're not coming in their sneakers and their khakis, even just maybe dress shoes, or I don't know, anything that might discourage the full lounge situation where they can start wrestling on the floor or anything like that, might be a nice way to say, okay, do all that, and then you'll come to the table and we'll all eat together. Maybe also encourage the kids, if anybody's a little tired or cranky, to have a little snack beforehand. I'm not sure if so if they don't come and eat candy and get on a sugar high,
I'm going to send out my ground
or
rules.
take a little nap beforehand is always a good
or
idea.
Just don't, only have food where you want them to eat, right? So don't have food accessible so they could take it out. Is it okay to say, we only eat in
kids
this
go to
area?
my pantry.
Oh.
Yes, it's a free
Okay,
for all.
but here's what you can say. Your kids, you can tell your kids your ground rules and just say, I love you guys. I need your help, and your friends that, the last, previous, when they've come over, and I love them, but they, I don't want everybody going into the pantry. First of all, we've made a lot of great food for dinner.
I have a great idea. Whoever these friends are, and you need to tell me off camera because I'm dying to know, call them and say, this other friend, not them, their kids, they give me a lot of anxiety because they eat the food and my house gets really messy. Can you keep an eye on those kids? But you're really talking about their kids. So now they're like, oh my God. So now she's going to think okay, I don't want my kids to act like those kids. And she's going to be on her kids prior. That's what I would do. I kind of manipulate that a little bit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm if Jennifer wants to go there and you want to do that, go for it. But yeah, I'm about a bit. I'm just an overly.
I'm going to send out this podcast
There you go.
to all of my guests prior to Thanksgiving. Have a listen, everyone.
And everyone must show up with a host gift and a note.
Yes.
Yes. You do not show up on Thanksgiving without a hostess gift.
No, if you've been invited to somebody's home, absolutely not. And I do love
How
a good
rude.
card. So even if it's a happy Thanksgiving card, but also a small token. And, if you're going in terms of host gifts. So we were talking about the host, right, before some of the host things, but now let's talk about the guest.
Yes.
My biggest, I guess, hope always is that guests come, first of all, with a positive, happy, open attitude. Not ready to launch as soon as somebody brings up politics and start, going off the rails, teaching everybody, not teaching,
But where's the etiquette in that nowadays?
So
2025, we're in a different political landscape. People take it very personal, and sometimes some people can't help themselves and they have to bring it up.
Right.
And especially holidays where
Yes.
things are already very stressful. A lot
Yes.
goes into the day.
Yes.
And the preparation. Is it proper to, or does it ruin the night?
Yeah, I definitely, we all know there are the taboo subjects, right? So if you are with only your people and
Lisa, what are those taboo subjects?
well, okay, so just to tell them, so we all are very clear.
I think they know.
Some of them are even, but even things like illness is tough
To speak about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it just, unfortunately, anytime we're with people, we try not to be a Debbie Downer.
Right.
Right. It's not, hopefully we don't have to do that at most of the time. So talking about illness or even talking about dieting, nobody really wants to hear that at Thanksgiving, especially your what I call in my book, your no flight list of like all the things you can't eat. Like, please don't tell us that.
Yeah.
And if you want, I
have a snack before.
I don't have a problem. Some hosts will have a problem with somebody bringing a dish that they can bring that they want to eat. Maybe it's something special for their dietary needs. I don't have a problem with that. If you've communicated it to me, I'm more than happy to accommodate your needs. But please don't. I don't think any guest should ever ask a host to make a dish differently for them specifically. If it's something that's just for them individually, I would encourage them to bring food that they
and that that could be good etiquette to bring something of your own if you have a gluten-free.
Otherwise, if everyone else eats gluten and you cannot, it really is up to your host if they can. They'll have other things. So, for example, they should have vegetables and salad and other things but to make a specific gluten-free, let's say, stuffing is not the host's job. And I don't think that that I would never say anybody's a bad host for not doing that. I think it's something, as adults, we can take responsibility. We can make something special and just bring it. And maybe the other people would like to try some of it too. But it's just not putting your host out if it doesn't need be. Now, look, if it's a family member.
Should you check with your guest dietary restrictions
I was just going to say that.
to?
So if you do have guests and it turns out to be multiple guests that would like certain items, then yes, then you can. But I'm just saying if there's only one person, then I think that there's nothing wrong with any of us taking responsibility for our needs and bringing a dish for ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
It's not so, but I do absolutely suggest that we know any dietary restrictions in advance for those that are coming as our guests, because we do want everybody to feel comfortable. So, and that could be the same thing if you have somebody who's not drinking, right? So we can't just assume everybody is going to drink wine or want a champagne toast because they may be watching their alcohol intake. So I think it's nice to know that in advance. But I would never say to all your guests that you need to abstain, but you should have something non-alcoholic for that person, right? So they can feel festive and fun along with you.
Let's talk about cell phones at the dining table during these holidays. What is the etiquette?
No, is
Thank
the
you.
etiquette. So I am.
Did you hear that, John? Put your cell phone
John
on
Cataldo.
your chair.
Leave it in the car.
You can have a nice basket, a Thanksgiving basket, when your guests come.
That would go
or
over
just,
well.
but you can.
John, can you please put your cell phone in the basket?
Nope, I'm the
Put your
host.
cell phone in the basket.
Or before, they can have it
I'm paying
before
for this dinner.
before dinner while they're mingling, because of course everybody wants to take photos. Everybody's dressed. You're together. Maybe you're taking holiday family photos or friend photos, etc. But once you come to sit down, and yes, if anybody wants to take a picture of the table and the food and maybe a group shot of everybody, of course. Mm-hmm. But then you can put your phones away.
What about on your chair?
I don't have a problem with that as long as there is not this going on.
No,
because
John. No,
I
John.
just don't like
John, it's a no.
multitasking because the goal
John,
is to
it's
be,
a hard no, John Cataldo. Put your phone away.
Okay, by the way, is anybody's husband
My
the
husband.
president or a surgeon
Of the United States?
and needs
No.
and needs
Of
no
Cataldo Inc. Yes.
yes. So hopefully there are no
And really, let's be
emergencies.
clear, he's shopping
Yeah.
at the dinner
No,
table.
Okay, no,
either
you are not
sneakers
serious.
or Porsches.
Yeah.
You are not serious.
That's
Okay.
it. Sneakers or Porsches. That's
Or
it.
what? He's at the Thanksgiving dinner table shopping. We're
Okay.
not running work.
Okay, so-
we're not running a business.
Or
from
he's
the table.
checking
So
spam
yes,
email.
we need to. Yeah. So no. Because the thing about it is that
He's gonna
obviously
kill you.
we are supposed to be with each
Present,
other,
yes.
and it's all about the
And your family is,
relationships.
Thanksgiving is a hard no because you're like, everyone is there.
I think in general we're working on it, right? I
Yes.
think we're working on
Yeah.
it. But I just want to be very clear: the etiquette is a hard no.
Oh, for
and
sure.
that's the goal.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because in
John, let her sit where she wants to sit, damn it, and put your phone
yes,
away.
exactly. I mean, for goodness sakes, how many, couple days a year you ask that? And by the way, how long are you there? Maybe a couple of hours.
yeah.
So, because it just it can also make you look like you're antisocial.
Yes.
Not just that you're busy,
and
which
that
clearly
you don't
he's
really
not.
care who is sitting next
And that's
to you.
the thing too. It's disrespectful.
Also, John, no politics at the dinner table.
Unless, look, if you all want to talk because you're all on the same side about the same and you all feel the same way, but I think what happens is a lot of people assume their politics in others.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so they act as if you are the exact audience that they are speaking to. And they don't necessarily know that. And I think that opens up a giant camel.
That's exactly true because we all, not we all, but many people think that everyone thinks the way that they think. They should think. And if they don't think, then they are against them.
Right.
Right.
Or wrong or bad. or
Right,
whatever.
exactly.
Or
Okay, let's get into just really quickly some quick tips for people that are dating. Just etiquette
Yes.
tips.
Okay. Just holiday
Yeah,
or
holiday.
just in general?
No, just in general.
Just
like
in general.
Okay, people who are dating.
young kids out there. We have a lot of young
Yes.
20-something listening to our
Yes. Love
podcast.
that.
And I
Give
don't
us the golden nugget.
Yes.
I
the
love that
golden
because-
nuggets of dating etiquette.
Okay, so one is set a precedent for yourself and do not ignore it. So if a precedent is that you would like to be with I was thinking just starting with a woman and man, but if you want whoever the person is that you're dating, if you set a precedent for yourself that you want the communication to be by phone, like maybe you can start it a different way if you get on a what do you call it, one of those sites or you're texting initially. At some point you have to pick up the phone because you cannot conduct a relationship on a tiny smartphone, meaning texting.
Yeah.
And you need to see, you need to feel, you need to hear the tone of people's voices. Secondly, I would say we cannot reveal everything right away in the relationship. So you need you need to give people time to get to know you. So we do not need to reveal all our open wounds right away.
That's right.
So I think that people can get close to us when they can find some of the joy in who we are, right? So coming with a positive attitude, because again, if somebody's meeting you for the first time and all you're doing is spewing negativity, I would want to run as fast as I can in the opposite direction. The other thing that I talk about, and by the way, I have a whole section in my book about this, is that you have to be who you are. So if you are losing a little hair and you're coming to that first date in a baseball cap, that may give a different impression as to who you really
catfish.
are.
Don't
So
catfish.
yeah, so we have to we unfortunately, because we know, I don't know, but when people are on sites that somebody's put a picture of themselves, 5 years ago, and they don't look like that anymore. So we want to try and be the representation of who we are putting out there as closely.
Understood that because they're obviously going to find out the
Yes.
truth in the first meeting.
Right. And hopefully, but I do, and also be equal parts. This is huge. interesting and interested, which this works for anybody. But most importantly, when you're meeting somebody for the first time, you cannot sit there talking about yourself. You need to be interested in the other person because that is what draws you in. If you give somebody the floor, if you let them talk about themselves, that endears them to you, or excuse me, that endears you to them. So meaning they fall in love with you immediately. How many times have somebody been out on a date and they said that the other person, all they did was just talk about themselves? That's the worst case scenario.
Right.
You leave there feeling like, oh my God, that person was so egotistical or such a narcissist, and you never want to have anything to do with them. But if they ask you questions about yourself, you've fallen in love.
Right.
You feel like they have taken an interest in you and you want to be with them again.
So
right?
let's talk about just the simple etiquette of opening a door.
Okay. So now we're talking what we would call chivalrous behavior, right?
Yes.
But by the way, so when it comes to any of those things, I think that it's nice to set up that type of kindness. And what it is really a social grace, putting someone else before yourself. So if you're a man and you're meeting a woman on the first date and it's cold and she has a coat, help her put her coat on or help her take her coat off if she's struggling. If absolutely walk to the door on the first date. Do not just sit in your car and text
Beep,
her
beep.
and say, come, I'm here. That's not going to do it. Maybe bring her some flowers. Something that, again, sets the precedent of who you are and
Now,
how
are you
you're
bringing
treating
her-
this
Or
relationship.
the Birkin bag.
Oh, gosh, the Birkin bag.
Now, are you bringing flowers to somebody on the first date? Are you waiting to see if you actually really like
You
her?
you can wait.
Yeah,
but,
I would
but
wait.
on the first date, then I might say to meet somebody for a coffee date or a drink, if that's your preference. Don't necessarily have them come to your home.
Right.
But if they're coming to your home, I love the idea of bringing something that shows that I value, I respect, I'm excited about meeting you.
I think it's
so,
a nice gesture.
So I think that I would suggest that's like second date, et cetera, because first date I think is better in a neutral spot just because you may or may not click.
Right.
But so it's walking to the door, it's opening the car door. If you see a man on the first date, I'm sorry, I'm doing kind of traditional gender relationships, and he's walking through the door first, no, automatic X in that, right away. If he's ordering at the table for himself first, no. There's certain things that I believe in the beginning, and hopefully this sustains throughout the relationship, is where they are being mindful and putting you. My mom always said that the man should put the women on the pedestal a little bit more.
That's nice.
If you are second fiddle to your man, I think that's a rough relationship. Not that I want the man to be emasculated at all, because I think that they do need to be in that position of the protector and the making you feel safe and comfortable and being honest and truthful and all those things. But I do think that they should also, and this is this precedent you set for yourself, is teaching them, no, I would like you to hold the door open for me, or I would like you to pull out the chair for me, or I would like you to, you wait, I walk through the door first. I need help carrying these packages, whatever. I mean, what I think women, when it comes to dating or just relationships, is withholding information. Anybody, we can't read each other's minds. Until we have a chip that somebody develops, like, what's his face? Why can't I think?
Musk. Elon
Thank you.
Musk. Yeah.
But we can't read each other's minds. So if we need something, we need to communicate it.
I think it's
there's
so
nothing wrong with
important.
doing that.
My husband still opens
But
the door
nicely.
for me. My husband still does.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Even sometimes I'm like, really? It's like, it's so far. Like, I'm so cold, but it's so, he's like, no, you're my wife.
Well,
I
by
love
the way,
you.
wait, did you say it's so far?
Yeah, like sometimes it's like, it's far, it's awkward, it's coming from,
Okay, let me tell you-
just jump in the car. It's fine. I
Oh,
got this.
okay.
And he's like, no, like
That's
he's
so
very
sweet.
clear
That's sweet.
on our roles.
I think it's one of the nicest things you can do. We had lunch with a couple
Mm-hmm.
the other day. It was raining. I went in to the restaurant first, which my husband was annoyed that I even got out of the car too slow.
Oh.
I'm like, for real? And he's a gentleman,
Right.
but sometimes doesn't have patience. Anyways, this couple, He walked, it's raining, okay? Hadn't parked his car, pulled up in front, walked her inside to the table.
Nice.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
Then he
so
went back
sweet.
to the car in the rain, parked it, and came back in. I was like,
were they married for a long time?
they've been married 20 something, maybe
so
20 years.
nice.
I was going to say,
I
is this a first date or
I
anything?
looked at my
that's
husband
gentleman.
and I was like,
That's next
you
level.
are a sad specimen. You
Pathetic.
are pathetic.
That, and by
You
the
all but
way,
kicked me out of the car.
was she wearing heels?
No.
Okay.
She was in jeans, tennis shoes,
Right.
raincoat.
See, that's a real.
Didn't walk her to
That's
the
a
door.
real man.
Walked her inside the restaurant to make sure that I was in there.
Yeah.
The table had been found, and then went back to the car, parked it, and came back. I mean, this was a 10-minute
That's honestly
ordeal.
unbelievable.
Oh, I
and
was shocked.
And I think that's what and again, remember I told you two things boils down to respect and also practicality. The respect piece, like he respects and loves her, and he really wanted to take care of her, put her first, her needs. And so, yes, he was protecting her also maybe from the rain, so she had only a short distance to go. But then
And she
didn't
just had
want
a
her
blow
to be
dry.
alone. There you
wanted
go.
to make sure she found me inside. I mean,
How
so
could you
nice.
not love that? And whenever
I
they
was
do
like-
these things, it's not them tripping over themselves. It's just them being the man we want them to be in our lives.
but I genuinely believe that this gentleman, that's his character,
Yes.
and he has two young boys, and I'm like, what a great
example.
example to treat their mother, put her on a pedestal
Yep.
like that. I'd never seen that before.
Yep.
John's great because he'll pull up and bring Jen to the front, and she usually has on giant heels. So
always.
we can't walk.
I can relate. Yes.
But this was next level.
That is.
And
is.
she said every time
Yeah.
they go out.
Yeah.
That's very.
I
very
love
nice.
that.
Yes.
And I'm going to probably be using that in the
It was
future.
very special. I was like,
Okay, so wrapping up, what are 3 small behaviors that make a big difference in how others perceive you?
I always use every opportunity to add this in. So thank you for asking this question, because I think the number one thing that we can do is smile. Wait, ask me the question one more time.
What are 3 small behaviors that make a big difference in how others perceive you?
Yeah. Smile, number one, because a smile is an invitation. When we smile, it lets people know how we feel inside, because when we feel good about ourselves inside, we smile with ease.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I have a house in Los Angeles, I have a house in Tennessee, as does Britney. And when I went to Tennessee, people would smile at me all the time. And I'm like, who you, me? Huh? You know, like they can't be smiling at me, because people really don't do that here. I was just talking to my stepdaughter about dating, and she was in the grocery store and she saw a guy and she thought he was cute, and she smiled at him, and he just like looked away. And she said, it's so weird because people aren't communicating. They're not looking at each other. They're not smiling. It's free. It's so easy. And it doesn't mean that you're being hit on.
Right.
But it is so like nice and refreshing. And I still kind of get embarrassed when people smile at me that I don't know, because it's not really the culture here, but in Tennessee, it really
Yes.
is.
we have our
Yes.
guard up here all the time.
Yeah.
And yes, it is an invitation, right? So you do have to be careful if you're smiling at the wrong person, that you're trying not to necessarily invite into your world in a romantic way, let's say. And I've had clients that have been on this. One client was actually, I had 2 women, and it was so fascinating. I did a semi-private with them. One was actually had a beautiful kind of very like Julia Roberts type smile, that's a smile where you look like you're smiling all the time, even when you may not necessarily be smiling, because it's the structure of your mouth. And another woman who never smiled enough, and she was actually came to me because she had a review at work, and her boss had said that her people working on her team were actually scared of her because they thought she was always upset because she never smiled.
She had
The other one was
resting bitch face.
Exactly.
Right.
And so the other one was smiling too much, and she was getting hit on actually in the professional world. So
interesting.
it literally is a thing.
It
So
makes you approachable.
it absolutely makes you approachable, and it makes you look like you want to be where you are when you're smiling. So smiling is huge. And I also think bringing a positive attitude is huge, not enough people come with their positive attitude. They are ready to just always find the negative in everything. They're ready to bring the rain. They're ready to find the fault. Do you know anybody who's like always got something to bitch about?
A couple.
Right?
Yeah, they're not in my life anymore.
Right. And even those who have such beautiful lives, it's like the things that they complain about. So I love a good smile, good attitude, and these are really things that I believe in myself, obviously, and that I teach. I also really think it's important to think about, how we can just move through life with little social graces all day long. And that means that even if I think this world, we're so quick to just do things without care. And that could even be a text or a tone of voice or a interaction with someone that may come off as a little on the cold side. So I like to add in the warmth and the sweetness. I think we need more of that.
Being very intentional.
Just yes, because I think that not everybody, I just think sometimes that what I call dry behavior can be a bit rude. And I personally think we can do a little more in that regard. So that's a big one. I'm going to add one more because I saw it on the news today. And I swear, there's so many ways in which my skill set can be used. There was a big thing about Target that was just on the news last week of how they are training their staff now to do two things because they want the in-person, they want people back in the stores. So Target wants more people in the stores, and they have decided that they need to create a better experience for the people coming through, the patrons, right? So what did they say? They said, we are going to train our staff to do two things: smile and make small talk, which is totally in my, that's what I teach.
That's what they do at Trader Joe's.
Right?
I feel like they do that at Target at checkout.
So I think more they're really making it their A game for the holidays, especially. And then I just saw another thing, because everything in my world is on the news every single day. Not a day goes by. They were just talking about civility, returning civility to the air, right? So back in the day, the whole idea of air travel and what it is today.
Oh, yeah.
And they were,
Well, that's something that I was going to add to
so civility is what I was going to say. I think people are yearning for a little bit, not a little bit, but like a big, like the pendulum is swinging to more of adding formality and some civility to the world, because it's just gone too far in the other direction.
I agree. And the one thing I would add, the last thing I would add to perception is putting yourself together, right? So dressing nicely, not fancy, but clean and ironed and nice hair, and put on your eyebrows, ladies, put on some mascara, ladies, a little lip liner and gloss won't hurt anybody, right?
It is true. Once you put yourself together and you feel good about yourself,
you act
different throughout the day.
You girls are preaching to the choir.
Yes,
I was just talking to my daughter, and I totally forgot you girls are in Nashville, because one of my daughters lives in Nashville, and she was sharing with me that my other one lives in New York. Two great places for me to have to visit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, my daughter in Nashville just worked the CMAs last night. So she's just loving it there. And she was telling me she has an idea for a club idea.
Okay, don't say it
And
too loud.
I know,
so if somebody
I
takes the
won't.
idea.
So I won't. I'm gonna have to tell you off camera
off
now.
camera.
But it speaks to, I think, what I appreciate from my girls is that they have become my little, thank God, ambassadoresses, if that's a word, because they are finally, all my life just trying to teach them and be the role model for them, and showing them the appreciation for taking care of yourself and putting yourself together, but more so in the way they act and they behave towards others, and trying to always bring the sweetness and the laughter and the kindness. So that's what I think in terms of perception. I think that's the best thing to leave others with.
I love that.
Thank you so much.
Wait, one question before we wrap it up. I have to get this. Okay. Every party I host, I like a beginning and an end. So I like going out to a restaurant, you have a beginning, you have an end.
Yes.
Every party I host, how do I close it? How do I shut it down?
Oh, she has stragglers.
Give me
I
the
think it's like your
shutdown.
thing. Like you just have stragglers.
That's
You need
Always.
John to come over. And
Yeah.
take them
That's a
out.
compliment to maybe what you're doing. Maybe they don't want to leave. It's so fun. Well, we know what we've read, for example, which the
coffee
tried and
doesn't
true.
work.
No, or even like, well, have you literally?
Turn off the light.
I was going to say flick the lights go on and
Yeah.
off. When it's time, the
5
intermission.
minute
when we're-
warning.
Have you done though? Actually, see, this depends if you have staff doing it or you're doing it yourself. Like actually clearing the table and doing some dishes. Has that ever happened?
Nobody helps her. They
Okay.
leave it in a
It doesn't
mass,
work.
right?
Okay,
No,
so
it's the lights.
well then you can ask people about what their plans are tomorrow. Does anybody have any early plans tomorrow morning that they need to get up for?
Yeah.
Is there?
They're staying
is
in
there,
the guest room.
Okay. Oh, they're staying overnight.
No.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they end up there.
Right. Well, but
need a
look.
But
boundary
there's no
lesson.
like. I mean, you've heard you serve the coffee.
Yes. Well, yes. These are all steps that you can take, and you can have.
Is there a
give-
sentence that you?
Well, you can say
the fuck
something.
out.
I'm so happy.
The end.
Yeah, you can.
Period.
You literally can say something like, "It was such a lovely evening. I'm so glad you came."
We have an early morning.
Yeah. So you start off with a compliment, right? Like how lovely it was seeing
Build 'em
them.
up.
And then
Close it down.
and by the way, look at where is that conversation happening? Are they seated? Are you seated with them and
alcoholic
then
beverage in
stand
their
up?
hand? That's where it's happening at the
They're
bar.
in the bar.
They're not
Okay.
leaving.
And are they seated in a what do you call it?
bar stool.
Barstool.
Okay. So I would just say like it was really, so wonderful having you all. And then you might
Take the
say
bar stool.
if they're not there you
We're
go.
gonna put wheels on your bar stools,
If-
and we're gonna wheel them out.
if
we
they
kick
are
them out
not
the door.
if they are not look, part of being a good guest is knowing when to leave.
Yeah.
So if they're not getting the hint, and that could be because we lose our frame of reference when we drink, right? So you may literally have to say, I love you guys, but I'm going to get in my pajamas now.
And it's time
and
to
it's
go.
time
That's
for us to
cute.
see each other tomorrow.
Yeah.
I always
Or just go get my
advise
pajamas.
yes, I always
Good
advise
night.
deflecting with humor and lightness. It's always done with lightness and love.
Yes. It's good.
That's what I would say because there are people who don't always do that, and that's when then we get up. We
I'm
feel
gonna buy you
bad.
a gong, a big gong.
Oh, that's
like,
one way.
ding.
That's a great
It's-
way.
Yeah, hook.
Oh, by the way, I have you know how we have a little dinner bell?
Yeah.
For like when dinner is served, you can be like, okay, dinner's over, a
my
little bit of.
gosh.
So, but all of these things, any of these things should work. But sometimes people literally need to hear the words, and it's okay.
I'm going to use it a little
yeah,
humor.
Yeah, that's good.
if you're sweet about how you do it, nobody should ever be offended. That's
we
on
could
them.
sit here all day. I mean, I have so many endless questions.
Well,
but
because
you've been
etiquette
a great
touches
guest.
every facet of life. So have me back.
It's
Yeah, we
so
will. We
true.
will.
Next time we're going to set the table.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm so excited to judge everybody
Oh,
when they're
great.
eting.
Oh,
it's
goodness.
so
But
great.
you
I feel
cannot
like
say
above
anything,
Now,
everybody.
Jennifer.
now it goes beyond the eating. We're just going to judge people as being guests. What kind of guest are you? Here's your rating card.
What do you mean we're going to judge? We're
You're
going
a
to
4.
continue, continue to
By the way,
judge our
how was
guests.
were they sweet? Were they smiling? Were they gracious?
They usually are.
But
Yeah.
just file it all away as good information. Don't ever say anything to anybody because when you have this information, it's never about shaming anybody else. I mean, we're teasing.
No, no.
We're all
And we
We're
just-
all
it's just-
teasing.
we
Trust
just
me,
talk
we
about
love
it.
our guests.
Yes.
But I'm sure they feel the same when I go to their home, the same way when
Right.
the lingering, the drinking, but that just means we enjoy each other that much.
It makes for a good conversation in the morning when we
Yeah.
do the recaps.
And by the way, I feel like I have to say a disclaimer in the sense that this is what I do, right? But am I infallible? No. Have I made mistakes? Absolutely. So if anybody that I know is watching this, I want them to, and I want you to hear it. I want people to hear that, there are those of us in this field who are held to a very high standard. And I do every day hold myself to the highest standard, but I absolutely make mistakes. My
You've had a
feelings
Brit
get
bomb
hurt.
before.
And yeah, no, that ask my girls. But I'm saying that I'm certain that there are lots of things that I can look back at and say I could have done that differently. So it's not about perfection, but it's about minimizing the number of mistakes or miscommunications or upset in your life.
Well, that's very gracious of you. I don't hold myself to a high standard, but I hold everybody else to a high
Right,
standard.
and I do that
so
too.
that's why I'll continue to judge. But you've been an unbelievable guest,
thank
and
you.
you've taught us so much.
Thank you.
And I think it's just a lifelong adventure to become better and to know more and to share experiences with the people that we love. So thank you for coming, and we will have what you are teaching.
Thank you so much, girls. I just want to say thank you for having me, and that you two are absolutely lovely. And I think you have a wonderful array of guests who share some really great knowledge. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
And thank you for our beautiful gift.
Yes.
It's just love all around.
That's a wrap.
Thank you.